Bible Knowledge Commentary on Hebrews 7, 1-3. Reviewing 7, 1, 2, and 3. For this Melchizedek, king of Salem, priest of the Most High God, who met Abraham as he was returning from the slaughter of the kings and blessed him, to whom also Abraham apportioned a tenth part of all the spoils, was first of all, by the translation of his name, King of Righteousness, Melchizedek, King of Righteousness, and then also King of Salem, which is King of Peace. Who is that describing as we go into the first century in the book of Hebrews? Well, the church age commenced and moved on to its conclusion, which I think is short in time. That's Jesus, Prince of Peace, King of Peace, the King of Righteousness. Without father or without mother, this Melchizedek is, without genealogy, having neither beginning of days nor end of life, but made like the Son of God, who remains a priest perpetually. I like the word forever. Well, looking at the Greek verb, could mean unbroken, continuous, for all time, forever. A number of the translations say forever, perpetually. Not the same thing. So the greater priest and his greater ministry, 7:1 to 10:18. Here begins the longest single expository passage in the epistle of Hebrews. Its very length suggests its importance. Its theme is the core theme of Hebrews, the real resource of the readership. In the midst of their pressures is the high priesthood of Christ. They must realize the greatness of that priesthood, its superiority to the Levitical institutions, which they reverted back to, and the perfect access they have to it on the basis of Christ's death. What are they going to do? Go to the altar and sacrifice something else under the Mosaic law, which it was not and never meant to be. The law was never meant to be a means for salvation. It means to point out the fact that you fall short. Then God's one only son, as Abraham, did not have the law. Years later, was it 490 years later, something like that, the Mosaic law came out. Abraham was saved by believing, and is accredited to him as righteousness through justification by a coming Messiah, Savior, descendant of Abraham, Jesus Christ himself. So the superior priest in chapter 7, the writer returned to the theme he had introduced in Hebrews 5, 1 to 10, but which he doubted his readers would comprehend in the conclusion of his most recent warning in 5:11 to 6:20. He had renewed the subject of the Melchizedek priesthood. The exposition of that reign is now given. So we're looking at 7, 1 to 3. 1 to 10 is the greatness of Melchizedek. To begin with, the writer set forth the personal greatness of the Old Testament figure of Melchizedek. As a fit prototype for Christ himself, Melchizedek was both a king and a priest. He both blessed Abraham and received his tithes. Melchizedek's name and title suggest the messianic attributes of righteousness and peace. So far as the Old Testament record is concerned, he was without father or mother, without genealogy, without beginning of days or end of life. In saying this, the author So I'm returning. So far as the Old Testament record is concerned, he was without father or mother, without genealogy, without beginning of days or end of life. Well, that's record. I don't like the word there. I'm going to comment on this in a second. In saying this, the author is often taken to mean that the silence of the inspired record presents Melchizedek as typologically like the Son of God. No, but Though this is possibly true, the statements do not sound like it. Oh, good. Okay. Particularly the assertion that Melchizedek remains a priest forever. The word forever translates a phrase that occurs only in Hebrews here and in 10:4, 10:12, and 14. It means continuously or interruptedly. Or how about forever? So, looking at it, continuously and uninterruptedly. Bible study manuals, my commentary on this, or eternal. The word can and does mean eternal, because Christ, the Son of God, is eternal and nothing else, nothing less. And there can only be one priest of the order of Melchizedek who is eternal, and his life cannot be continuous. It must be eternal, no beginning and no end. If Jesus Christ is a priest of the order of Melchizedek, and since Christ is eternal forever, then Melchizedek must be eternal forever. No beginning, no end, no father, no mother, eternal. There cannot be anyone else but the Son of God in view in a pre-incarnate appearance in Abraham's time. Christ cannot be of a priesthood that is not eternal. There is no typology here. Melchizedek cannot be a type of Christ. He must be Christ. Furthermore, there is no record of Melchizedek because he is the Son of God without beginning or end. By the way, if a priest has no record or genealogy, then that disqualifies him as a priest according to Nehemiah 7:64. So Bible Knowledge Commentary goes on. It seems more natural that the author meant that Melchizedek belonged to an order in which there was no end to the priesthood of those engaged in it. He later said in 7:8 that Melchizedek is declared to be living. If this is correct, Melchizedek may have been an angelic being, oh boy, who reigned for a time at Salem, Jerusalem. If so, the statement that he was without beginning of days would not mean that he was eternal, but simply that he had a pre-temporal origin. Boy, making it up. Nor would this concept of Melchizedek as an angel elevate him to the same level as God's Son, since the author painstakingly asserted the Son's superiority to the angels in Hebrews 1:5-14. So then why even bring it up? There is indeed evidence that at Qumran, Melchizedek was regarded as an angelic personage. Well, who cares? If this is the case in Hebrews, then the Son of God is the high priest in an order in which Melchizedek is simply a priest. Wow. Melchizedek cannot be an angelic being because Melchizedek is described as beginning and without beginning and end. Christ is far superior to angelic beings. Furthermore, if any of this were the case, why isn't this made clear in the author's writing? It is too far-fetched not to be simply clearly stipulated so that the readers can get the message that an angel is in view. Besides this, are angelic beings suitably equal to Jesus in order for one of them to provide a priesthood that Jesus can be a member high priest? No. And finally, Melchizedek cannot simply be a priest, as if human, not eternal, because Christ cannot be of a lesser priesthood than himself, who's not simply human. I don't know why these commentators get off on a tangent. In any case, Hebrews 7:4, NASB. Now observe how great this man was, to whom Abraham the patriarch gave a tenth of the choicest spoils. Bible study manuals on 7:4. Now, from Hebrews 7:4 to 10, the author of Hebrews proves out how great this man Melchizedek was, / is, to whom Abraham the patriarch gave a tenth of the choicest spoils. And his conclusion is that Melchizedek is immeasurably greater even than Abraham. Notice that in Hebrews 7:4, Abraham, the great patriarchal father, through whom he is descended, Isaac, Jacob, Israel, Moses, Jesus Christ, gave the choicest spoils to Melchizedek, whom Jesus is like him in every way, which leads into the next verse, Hebrews 7:5. Now, Expositors has a commentary on this. The author proceeds to bring out the greatness of Melchizedek with an argument the modern mind may find rather curious, but which would have been compelling to his contemporaries. In this ancient world, it was generally recognized that there was an obligation to pay tithes to important religious functionaries. This implies a certain subjection on the part of those paying to those to whom the tithe was paid. So it was significant that Abraham paid to Melchizedek a tenth of the plunder. This last word means literally the top of the heap, and was used of the choicest spoils of war. From those spoils, an offering would be made to the gods as a thanksgiving for victory. Abraham gave a tenth of the very best to Melchizedek. In the Greek text, the subject, the patriarch, comes at the end of the sentence, giving it strong emphasis, i.e., none less than the patriarch. Hebrews 7:5. And those indeed of the sons of Levi who received the priest's office have commandment in the law to collect a tenth from the people, that is, from their brethren, although these are descended from Abraham. Bible study manuals. Underline this. Notice that the Levitical priests notice that the Levitical priests, the sons of Levi, have under the Mosaic law the commandment to collect a tenth from the people of Israel, their brethren, who are descended from their great father Abraham. And then we move to Hebrews 7:6, which reads, But the one whose genealogy is not traced from them collected a tenth from Abraham and blessed the one who had the promises. But the one whose genealogy is not traced from them, meaning the Levitical priests, namely one who is Melchizedek, collected a tenth from Abraham and blessed the one Abraham who had the promises. So much the greater is Melchizedek, whose genealogy is not traced from them. Actually, according to Hebrews 7:3, which reads, without father or mother, without genealogy, without beginning or days or end of life, like the Son of God who is God, he remains a priest forever. Melchizedek has no genealogy because he is without father or mother, without beginning of days or end of life. Like the Son of God in every way, otherwise Christ could not be a high priest of the order of Melchizedek, which Bible Knowledge Commentary and Expositors seems to not understand fully. If the latter was human and mortal and sinful, he remains a priest forever. How great this man was, this man who was the perfect humanity of the Son of God, Jesus Christ, in his pre-incarnate appearance. So 7:7, but without any dispute, the lesser is blessed by the greater. So there is no dispute, the lesser Abraham and all of his descendants are the lesser and are blessed by the greater Melchizedek, albeit excluding Jesus Christ as the Son of God and as in perfect humanity, who is Melchizedek in a pre-incarnate appearance. So, expositors on 7:5 to 7. Let's review these. And these indeed are the sons of Levi who received the priest's office, have commandment in the law. More on this next time.